Alright, so this is going to be my review of Star Wars, the Stark Hyperspace War. Now, the story is, if you don't know what the Stark Hyperspace War, that's totally fine. It's not really a big event in the Star Wars history that not a lot of people talk about or ever brought up. It's actually a war that happened 14 years prior to the events what happened in the Phantom Menace, and even further from the Clone Wars. So about, give or take, 24 years before the events of Attack of the Clones or anything like that. So 14 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, and the Jedi were still strong. And yeah, now this story is told as it's told as a story. Of course it is a story, but it's told as a flashback to help Ayla Secura, who at this time has lost her memories alongside Quinlan Vos. They had lost their memories, I believe at this point they had lost them during a battle with a dark Jedi named Wolfe Karko, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But yeah, this is the story of a war, an unofficial war of sorts, that happened within the Republic against the Outer Rim. Now, the reason for the war is that what happened is that this pirate and smuggler called Ayako Stark banded together a coalition to more or less not really declare war on the Republic and the Senate, but really to hijack the prime healing agent of the galaxy called Bacta. And there was a massive shortage of Bacta that they were causing, and now the Jedi are being sent in, but at the same time, Tarkin's father, Randolph Tarkin, has created his own Republic military, which has not been made since the days of the Old Republic at this time, and he's gone off to make things worse. So yeah, that's the story on a whole right there. Now you think from this cover that this is going to focus on a Padawan, Quinlan Vos, and Obi-Wan, and yes, they do have some screen time in here, they do have some panels to themselves, but really, the main focus of this is Plo Koon. The main person behind, the main Jedi it focuses on is Plo Koon. We also get, of course, Qui-Gon Jinn and Master Thome. We get also Adi Gallia, and we also have a Wookiee Jedi named Tyvaka, who, if you haven't guessed, he doesn't get to stay long in here. Tyvaka was, I think I'm saying that name right, Tyvaka was Plo Koon's master, and this is a time period before Plo Koon got a seat at the council. This is when Plo Koon was still a member of still a Jedi Knight. So in here, Plo Koon and several Jedi go to talk to Stark before he starts an all-out war between the Outer Rim and the Mid-Rim and Core Worlds. And it doesn't exactly go well, because as usual, Randolph Tarkin goes in with his own military. But however, Stark proves that he's not, he's a genius. He basically screws up the entire quote-unquote Republic fleet's computers and sends them all over the place, and only a quarter of the ships make it to their destination. And when they get there, they get sliced to pieces by Stark's allies and their warships. This story is really good. It is. I know it's told as it's told as a flashback, but they do very well of transitioning between telling the story and showing the war right there. It's not really a big conflict. It feels more like calling it a war seems a bit too big, because really it's more like just a one and done conflict, because this is an unofficial army and the main focus is the Jedi on here, and Ayako doesn't really have a big military. He's not trying to... Here's the thing about Ayako Stark. I think I've said Ayako Stark. Stark is basically not trying to conquer the galaxy. He's not trying to, wipe out the Jedi. He's just a guy who wants money. That's really his whole end game, is that he's just an asshole looking for some money. And that's what's really interesting here, is that here's a villain who's not like some Dark Lord of the Sith or some disgruntled Nemodian, although granted Newt Gunray does play a part in here, I will say that. And yeah, it is kind of interesting that, they never brought up, Newt Gunray, because Qui-Gon is forced to protect Newt Gunray in here before he became Viceroy of the Trade Federation. Although it is pretty odd that they never, I know that this was made after the Phantom Menace, but I feel like, seems like if that were the case, then wouldn't they know each other? I don't know. Anyway, so with this comic is that, again, it focuses on Plo Koon, which is cool. The lightsaber colors, if you've read this comic, the lightsaber colors are a little weird. Plo Koon actually has a orange saber in here, even though it got changed to blue in Clone Wars. Yeah, that's because mostly no one really knew at this point, and this is the Dark Horse comics, obviously. So yeah, in the Dark Horse comics, we didn't really know what colors did the other Jedi Masters have at this point. So I think John Ostrander, John Ostrander, most of you guys would know best for Suicide Squad, but what most people seem to forget is that Ostrander wrote a huge chunk of the Dark Horse Star Wars universe. He helped form the Star Wars universe. He did a lot of Clone Wars. He did Jalen Cross Imperial Agent, which is also a really cool series. He wrote this. He wrote a lot, like I said, Clone Wars. He did a lot for the Dark Horse Star Wars universe. And it's really cool. The artwork is a little cartoony, but I forgive it because it kind of fits, really. And yeah, it's a fun story. The one problem I have with this comic is that when they do flashbacks, they don't do like word bubbles or word boxes. They instead actually have the character's head talking, and it has the word bubble with there, and it kind of clashes with the scene. It just feels awkward. It just feels, what kind of purpose was that serving? Just having a head talk whenever they flash back to the hyperspace war, they basically just have a little guy on someone's head talking, and it really clashes with the scene, and it drives me nuts. But yeah, all in all, this is a fun comic. It's not really a big story arc. If you can find it, good luck, because again, Star Wars Dark Horse comics are really hard to find. I found this for $5 in a $5 bin at a convention I went to a few weeks ago, about 2-3 weeks ago. Glad I found it. It was a really fun comic. The price is $12.95. That's the retail price, but again, assuming on where you find this trade, it might be higher or lower. So yeah. But if you're a Star Wars fan, I really recommend it. It's really cool to see, other Jedi get focused, although we do get Qui-Gon and Master Thome. But again, the main focus here is Plo Koon, and I like Plo Koon. I thought he was a cool Jedi in Clone Wars, and it shows again in here. Yeah, this is a pretty fun comic. If you want to see other Jedi do cool shit, and if you're a fan of Quinlan Vos, I'd recommend this. Anyway, so if you've read the Stark Hyperspace War, what did you guys think of it? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.